Well, in about a month, I've got a motorcycle trip planned through some national monuments in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. And I'll be taking Blue Thunder here and camping out most of the time along the way. I bought Blue Thunder about 9 months ago and really don't have a whole lot of a background on this. This is a 2004 V-Strom 650. And so today I'm going to be doing some maintenance to help get ready for the trip. I'm not really sure how many miles are on the motorcycle. It's got 36,000 on the odometer, but when I went to register it, when I bought it, it said on the title that that was not the correct mileage. On the title it said 76,000. So I don't know how many miles are on this thing. You know, right now it's 2022. So I'm going to guess maybe it's got 136,000. Anyway, today I'm going to be working on the valve clearances on the motor. And I have my trusty supervisor here, Flash, will be watching what I'm doing. And so follow me along as we work on the V-Strom and do some basic maintenance to get ready for this trip. The first thing I need to do is take the seat and the gas tank off and then the fairings so that I can actually get to the motor to do the valve adjustment. Part of that is also going to include taking the radiator off. So since I'm doing that, I'm going to replace the radiator hoses while I'm at it. All right, I have the seat off and I have this little side plate off here. Now I'm going to take this part of the fairing off. Well, I got the left side cover off, but that was not before I discovered something. Unfortunately, there was a screw that was hiding. And the screw was hiding up here. And so, of course, I was pulling on it and broke this little piece off. Now, fortunately, this side cover is ABS plastic, and JB Weld makes a product. I like JB Weld products. They make a plastic weld, so while I am at this, I'm going to repair this by gluing that back on with this JB Weld plastic epoxy. So I'm going to partially blame my supervisor here for breaking that tab on the side cover. She was not giving me the proper supervision, and so that's why I'm having to glue that little tab back on. All right, I got both the left and the right side panels off. Now it's time to take the gas tank off. There is a screw that goes in right there, or a bolt that I already took out, and it has the the little thing that holds the tank up if you're just doing minor maintenance on it. And then there is another bolt up here that I have to take off this. All right, the gas tank is off now. That was relatively easy to do. And, you know, it's just got this electrical connection and then the fuel connection where you just have to pinch the little hookup thing to it. I've got this other little, I guess it's an overflow, but and then it just lifts off. Have the air cleaner in here. So one of the weak points of this bike, I think, is, you know, to service the air cleaner, you got to take the whole gas tank off, and that's kind of a hassle. But, you know, we're going to do that. Then this is the cover for the back cylinder, and be taking that cover off to fix the, to adjust the valves. And then the front cylinder here, you see you have to take the radiator off to do that. So that's the next step. Okay, I was able to get the radiator off. There's all these wires that have these connectors that hook onto the cowling of the radiator that I had to take off. That was a little bit of a pain, but got that off, and we'll be able to here get to the cover and take that off. All right, I'm going to start with the rear cylinder, and take the top off of this thing here, and see what we're going to get into. That's the spark plug wire. Spark plug is like way down in there. That was not in very tight. Sorry about that. My supervisor is crawling by and just hit the leg of the tripod. That looks fine. That looks good. Well, that happens. So now I'll do the same with the front, and then I need to figure out the top dead center. A little moisture there. I don't know what that's all about. Okay, to check the valve clearances, there's a place that I need to put the piston in for the front cylinder, and also one for the rear cylinder. It's supposed to be on top dead center when you check those. So the way that you get it to top dead center, there's you can take this plug off and put a socket on there to turn the engine. And there's a little plug here that you can look into and see the marking on the flywheel in there to tell whether the the cylinder is at top dead center. And it may be at top dead center, it may be at, and that should be of the compression stroke. It could be at the top of the intake stroke, and so that wouldn't work. So you have to look at the cams and see, and in the owner's manual it shows, you know, where the cams need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up now. Okay, the manual says that the intake valves should measure between 0.1 and 0.2 millimeters, and the exhaust should be between 0.2 and 0.3. And so I measured them, and my feeler gauge here, I have like a 0.127, 0.152, 0.178, 0.203, 0.229, and 0.254. So what I ended up doing is, for the fronts, I said it was at like 1.6. And the reason was because this one would slide in, the 0.152 would slide in, and it was fairly easy to get it in, but I could not get the 0.178. So I figured it's somewhere between those two, and both the left and the right intake were that way on the front one. Now, on the exhaust ones, is this 0.254, the 229 went in very easily, and the 254 was fairly stiff. I could not get the 0.275 in. So that's why I called that good at 0.25. So I experienced the same thing with the intakes on the rear, and yet the exhaust ones on the rear, I had to give it a little bit more, that 2.6, because I could get the 254 in there, but I could not get the 275 in there. So we're well within, so it got pretty much right in the middle of where specs are. So I'm not going to have to change the shims. I'm very happy with this. So each of these cylinder head covers has a little port here, and it has a hose going to the air emission system. And when I took one of them off, I noticed that there was some moisture that kind of came out of it. So I want to explore that and see what I can find about that. I suspect that these little air emission control valves, each of these has a little valve in it, and it's supposed to just let air flow one way. But I blew in it, and I couldn't get air to blow in it, and I sucked on it, and I couldn't get air to suck on it. So I suspect there's a problem here, and that's gonna need some cleaning. Oh my goodness. So this is the valve itself, and probably not enough light to really be able to see. It's just black. It's just completely black, and you can't hardly, I mean, that valve is not going to work. And then inside here is just completely black and filled with soot as well. So even though this was supposed to just be valve adjustments, it's turning into more than that. The good news is, on this little piece that broke on this side cover, and I glued it back on, and that thing, that's as good as new. So I'm really happy about that little piece there that broke off. So we're going to use a little kerosene, a little brush, a little elbow grease, see what we can't get done on this.